You are listening to Stages Podcast with Mary Lee Fairbanks and Stephanie J. Block. Welcome to Season 6. Here on Stages Podcast, we go behind the scenes and beyond the resume to explore the crossroads of creativity, spirituality, motherhood, and so much more. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. Give us 5 stars and a great review. It really helps us grow. Thanks for joining Stages Podcast, Season 6. Is that your lovely home?
No, this is my dressing room. Isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful.
I know. I was just showing
It
you
is beautiful.
my silly dressing room, Stephanie. I know.
Bets.
Stephanie, it's epic. I'm never going to want to leave here.
No, you're not. Did you design that or did somebody else design that?
Someone else helped me design it. And it's like a palace here because, it's one of these new theaters.
Yeah.
So it's like, the most gargantuous gorge. It's ridiculous. I know.
Oh my gosh. Hey, when I was at the Sondheim, not good Wi-Fi. Have they fixed that?
Well, I'm hoping we're going to be okay. I just did a podcast just before this, and I actually think it was okay. So this is a little bit weird than having a toddler running in and out. So there's that.
People, yes, she is stunning. Yes, she is wildly talented, but words are hard. But you may not know she's so silly, like ridiculous, in fact. And maybe you didn't know she is a loving mother or has an incredible knack at home decor, which we just spoke on with her gorgeous dressing room. She also pours into the next generation of musical theater artists with her groundbreaking and very well-renowned teaching program. It's called Broadway Evolved, and I have had the honor of being on her staff and teaching the next generation. We will get into that conversation later in the podcast. She starred on Broadway as Jenna Hunterson in Waitress, Ellen in Bullets Over Broadway, and for a while there, I felt like Betsy and I needed to have a clause in our contracts that we must not work unless it was together, because we got to share in the remarkable experience of the Falsettos revival together as Cordelia and Trina, respectively. And we starred opposite each other as Edwin Drood and Rosa Budd in Roundabout's most recent revival of the Mystery of Edwin Drood. And throughout the course of many years, she and I did every concert, every benefit, every gala in New York City together. She is currently starring as Anne Hathaway, and she likes to say, no, not that one, Shakespeare's wife, in and Juliet at the Sondheim Theater. We are so lucky that she was able to find a window of time to hang with us today. Please welcome to the podcast the incredible Betsy Wolfe. Hi, Bets. Hi, Bets.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, you are another one that I look at and just go, how is she doing all of the things? How is she everywhere? And am I mistaken, or is this the first time you are doing Broadway 8 shows a week with a little person in your life as a mama, or did you do it before?
No, this is the first time. I mean, I was 6 months pregnant when we all realized that first week in March that the world was going to change.
Wow.
I just announced my pregnancy in the way that, I went to one event and was like, I'm pregnant now. And then about a week and a half later, the world ended as we knew it. And I spent the last couple months of my pregnancy just walking 10 miles a day. Every concert, every gig, everything was canceled. And I had no idea what the world was going to look like. I had no idea if I was going to work again as an actor. And I had no idea who I was going to be, who fundamentally I was going to be in this next version of life as a mom. So
is your husband in the business also? So was it kind of a...
Yeah, at the time he was the executive president of Local 802. So he was a French horn
Mm.
player. That's how we met. We met on the show Bullets Over Broadway, and he was in the pit. And then he transitioned to run the union at Local 802. And so our pandemic looked very different because, virtually every musician, every actor, their lives were completely put on hold.
Yeah.
And he was in a room by himself, renegotiating every contract with
Mm.
every Broadway producer, the Met, you name it, the Philharmonic. And so he was working nonstop, and I, essentially had a newborn. It was, and we did it together, and it was such a crazy time to reflect upon.
Wow. As partners, did you learn or recognize being confined into your apartment with a newborn? Were there lessons that you learned there individually and together that have maintained in your life even to today?
I mean, yeah, yes. And then how could it not? I mean, that time is so, I think for everyone, that time marks like this definitive rebirthing of who you were in a way.
Mhm.
Like I know I am not the same human that I was before the pandemic. And
And even more, just being a mother
A
turns you
mom.
into a
Yeah.
different human. So the
Yeah.
pandemic compiled with being a mom,
Yeah.
yeah, it
I
changes who
think
you are.
someday we'll do studies on what it was like to give birth during a pandemic, because I swear in places where I never was anxious before, I now maybe am a little bit, more
Mm.
triggered at certain things.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I think that look, in many ways, I think pandemic strengthened relationships. I think it made us like really confront the ugly in
Mm.
certain things, and the fact that we're still together is obviously a
A
testament.
huge
It's a good
testament.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, my
Yes.
husband and I kept saying there's either going to be a lot of babies or a lot of
A lot of
divorces at the end of
divorces.
this pandemic.
Yeah, a lot of
People are
splits.
going to remember what they loved about each other, or they're going to drive each other mad. It's one or the other. Because I think
Yeah.
everybody's bandwidth was about an inch wide. And that
Yeah.
was it. That was about as much bandwidth as anybody had to deal with anything at that time. And everybody, and I think it's why it severed so many friendships and kind of severed us as a society. So it's sort of you and them and us, and everybody's kind of segmented off into these little
Pockets.
labels of
Yeah.
yeah, pockets and labels of society, which I think is horrible for a society. But I think the pandemic really shed a light on our best and our worst qualities.
It was also, yeah, and there was like a unifying moment too. I realized like these basic things that you assume are going to happen. For instance, having your birthing partner in the room with you,
Right.
was something that was stripped away for so many. And up until 8 days before we had our daughter, we did not know if he was going to be able to be in the room. So
Ah,
it was such a fascinating time. And then the laws changed, um or the rules changed, and then he was able to be there. So it's little things like that that you even had to evaluate and say, wow, I really don't take I don't take anything for
For
granted.
granted.
right. Yeah.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
And how old was your baby when you went back to work full time?
Well, it's funny. I shot a film when she was 3 months old, so I'll never forget. And I remember it was one of those things that came up in COVID, and they were shooting an actor one person at a time, to do it incredibly safely. And so I was actually living. I had moved out to Jersey and was living in a friend's house, and this dear friend, they had moved down with their family to Florida, during kind of the pandemic, early pandemic, I should say, and. And I took this job just because I kind of wanted to, not only prove to myself that I could still work and do something, but I also knew that it would hopefully, be something that my daughter could watch someday and know that like her mom did this when she was 3 months old. And so I committed to half days. So I would wake up even before she was awake, and she was 3 months old. I would pump in the car on the way to the city. And then right before I would shoot for about 3, 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours. And then on the way on home, I would pump again and only miss. And I did that 2 days a week for 3 months until we finished the film. So that was the first thing. And then I really did kind of take, my first show back is is this one. It, you know, it took a long time for me to, I think, read a script and also feel like I wanted to say that this was the project that I wanted to decide was a project that was worth the amount of time and sacrifice that it takes to be away from your family. So
Absolutely. And this is a full-on celebration.
it
I
is.
mean, I'm not going to undermine the amount of work because we all know what that takes. What a beautiful, escapist, fun celebration of all things women, of all things life, of all things turning a piece of material on its head, you know, Romeo and Juliet on its head. So what in this script spoke to you and went, aha, this is the one that I'm kind of going to re-enter into the Broadway scene post-COVID and post-Mama?
Yeah, I was captivated within the first 6 pages of this musical in a way that I have never been when I've read a script. I got goosebumps at the thought of being able to tell this story. I think it's funny when I think about some of the roles I've played. I've often played the wife or girlfriend of a famous writer who kind of just like lives in that space and is like overlooked and maybe like, well, what is that relationship? Doesn't quite say what's on her mind, tries maybe politely. Um, and that's kind of where the conversation ends. And this show starts and Shakespeare presents his most famous piece. And of course, we know a lot about Shakespeare. We know a lot about Romeo. And then within 5 minutes of the show, um, his wife, who of course, is named Anne Hathaway, which of course is like subject of a couple really, really special moments in the show, comes out and says, why don't we try something else? How about let's look at it this way. And so for me, so many of these roles that I've played, which have been like, this was where it ended, this is where this show and this journey begins for me. And Anne Hathaway's one of the most structurally valued female roles I have ever read in my entire life. So much so that at the end of this, what can be considered this like confetti burst of, funny pop jukebox musical, there's this 3-page meaty book scene where we don't actually know if she is going to stay in this relationship. And it is, to me, one of the most beautiful things about seeing these female characters, Anne Hathaway, Juliet, the nurse, and so many other, gosh, I mean, so many other characters. I think of the May character, the non-binary, and these stories of different ways to look at life and these different ways to say, like, what if life doesn't go according to plan? Or what if we actually had the courage to say something and do something differently? And that's where our show begins. And I think that's why the show is resonating so much with people right now too, is because the world did not go the way that we think it has gone.
Right.
There's something about this show when you see it and you leave, whatever it is for you, you leave actually feeling hopeful that you could make some kind of a difference. It's like everyone drinks this sauce when they come. It's crazy. I cannot explain it. I truly can't explain it.
But you use the word value, which you're right. It's very rare that when you read a character, you can see, oh, I see how she's the device for this, this, and this. Or you can say, oh, I see how it works within the grand scheme of it. I mean, there's always ways to put worth. But when you read something and one of the first things you say is, ooh, the value of this character is XYZ, then that's not only a fun piece, it's an important piece. And if it's important to you, that will absolutely translate through the material and then reach your audience in a different way.
And the idea that it's in this package that might seem like on the surface, it's very, even as you said, it's bubbly, it's joyous,
It's a celebration. Yeah, that's how I defined it.
At the end, when I hear the tears when you realize, oh, this is about generations and changing the next generation, and how we see that tracking throughout the years. and the different relationships. It is actually like profoundly special because it comes in this like really cool, amazing commercial package. But then the heart of the show is it really catches you off guard.
It's almost a bit of a Trojan horse. It gets in there, gets in your mind with all of the celebrating and the music and the modernity of the music and all of that, but then it's really sending an underlying point home. That's kind of cool.
It shouldn't work. It actually shouldn't work. You shouldn't be able to take all these #1 hits written, over the course of 40 years, and then this book writer who he wrote Schitt's Creek.
Oh, I know. And we have to talk about that, honestly.
Genius. He's a genius. It's so funny. It's just so witty and so funny. And then this story, Romeo and Juliet, like none of this should work.
Yeah.
And it's really,
It's
really
sort of like Hamilton. That shouldn't have worked either. I mean, who was going to put that together?
Well, yeah. If
And
you read
that
the
worked.
synopsis, you're like, well,
Like,
that
what?
couldn't be the most dry musical.
Why would I see that? But
I have a quick question though, since we're on this, and I know how valuable you are as an actress in the rehearsal room. Since this opened and Juliet opened in the West End, when it came to New York, was there discussion in the room? Was there, hey, I feel like we could possibly, or what if we tried, or was it this worked in the West End and we'd love to just use your bodies and your voices to tell what we've already, put on in London?
You are a genius, and of course, you only know to ask that question because you
Lived it.
It's like you've lived this.
Yeah.
I first of all was so lucky. We just lucked out with this creative team. Luke Shepard is our director, and I'll never forget. My at the time, my agent had called and said, I think it should be offer only. They want to, but they want to see everyone in the room. And I said, oh, no. I want to go in the room. I want to meet who I would be working with. Cause this was my first audition post-pandemic.
Right.
Person audition. And so I said, no. I want to know if I'm going to commit 2 years plus of my life to something, I want to know who I'm working with. And so I went in and was absolutely at that session. I met Luke, our director, who obviously has had this massive hit in London, but yet I knew that he was the type that was never going to be satisfied with, kind of the status quo. And so I knew immediately that I could be in a room with him and safely and
play.
And David signed off. And one of the things they were so smart to do is they knew what worked there, but they also knew that we were in a different world since when it was first written, which was pre-pandemic. And so not only have some lines changed, but I was able to be in, I think, key moments of the decision-making process for Anne, in some very key moments that were altered and changed, and even in the fun stuff too, that have made me feel so much closer to the character that I don't feel like I'm, replacing in a way. Like I feel such an ownership of this character. And I've even fought for things that are in the show now that I know at some point someone wanted to lose, but I'm like, no, she is the every woman. She is the woman that we all want to be. She is dorky. Like there's some silly dance moves that only I do. And
Yeah.
it speaks to like, I see these women out in the audience too. And when they're happening, I know that it was so important to me that she is the person that we all like want to be. She's the one that has the courage to say something where she is the brave part in all of us, and the delivery of that is really important, right? Because sadly I think women especially are so often judged on their delivery versus content. And so that's what was so important to me to craft and make it so what was so important, what Anne has to say and the delivery of that, so it really does then resonate. And so they were so generous and so amazing in the decision process that I feel so close to her.
That's great to hear. I do find if you come to the creative team and you have the why behind it, I think this is how it serves not only the character, but the piece, or since I am now a woman or a mother or whatever the case may be, my walk in life sheds a certain light on this character. Usually they'll let you try and play. I love that you said, I wanted to meet them. I wanted to know who I was sharing space with instead of, ooh, I hope they pick me. It's now we're all at this round table together and we want to see how we work together as a team, right?
Well, and
Still
you were
respectful.
choosing to, be away from your child,
That's
and
right.
that's a really stressful and difficult thing to do, and you shouldn't do it if it's not something that's going to meet all the requirements that you want to have when you walk in a room.
That's right.
But
I say recognize that privilege though too. Like I know that I recognize that I have the privilege to say that now, that like, no, I want to be able to go in and do that in a certain way. And if I look back and think of like the 25-year-old Betsy, I wish I could tell her that too.
Mm.
I wish I could say like, you get to choose to be, in those rooms. And I think I always trusted my gut anyways, but like it's just so important to me. I realize how we spend our time, especially after what we've all collectively been through,
That's right.
is forever going to look different.
And Bets, you've worked toward the way you work has been in truth, like you have been present in this community. Your work has been consistent, not to bring this word back in, but therefore the value of you and even the value of the 25-year-old Betsy has the way to say, or should feel the ability to say, gosh, I'd love to have this, saying, this is what I need, this is what I want. How do you all feel about that? Beautiful. Let's walk together. Or beautiful. I bless you as you're way over there, away from me. Those are your two choices.
Like literally what you just described is what I get to do on stage every night.
How great is
It's
that?
so joyous. It's so joyous.
Ah.
Let's talk a little about David West Reed. I mean, is he just, you were saying he's a genius.
He had a concussion when he came up with this concept.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't know if that gets talked about that much, but okay, so I'm going to give you like the craziest synopsis of how this happened. They came up with this concept that we should do a musical with all of these hit songs. So they each got together and they said, let's write out our 50 top number one songs. They realized that they had all these crossovers and that about 80% of them were written by this man named Max Martin.
Okay.
Who is Max Martin? Who has written all of these songs, like spanning Bon Jovi, Celine Dion, up until like Lizzo? I mean, we're talking like from way back with then to now. No other person has written more single number one top hits in this century other than Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Let alone all these different artists. So he lives in Sweden. Max Martin lives in Sweden. So they said, what are the chances that we're going to get a phone call with Max Martin? They then came up with this idea, let's do a musical, but what is going to be the story? They interviewed so many different writers, and David West Reed apparently had a concussion and came up with the concept of, well, what if Juliet just moved on? What if she didn't decide to kill herself just because he did? And what would that look like? And that is about all it took, and they loved it. And ever since then, this insanely clever, creative, hilarious, poignant, meaningful musical, that was like the germination.
That was the genesis.
Yeah, that was
Does it have the same feel as Schitt's Creek? Schitt's Creek sort of had that it had that feeling of humanity so deep inside of it, but told in a way that made you smile and laugh and just feel good. Is it the same sort of feeling? Because I haven't seen the show yet.
100%. Yes, 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 yes. You will laugh because it's also just so freaking funny. And we know this comedy is truth and it's delivered.
Right.
Yeah.
It's truth, but it's in a hilarious form, and but also pushes the boundaries and ever so gently. Though is that Max got permission and asked all these artists, would you be open to this? And the fact that they all responded with, oh my gosh, yes, please, shows also how much they love him, how much they realize that who they are. I mean, Katy Perry, Roar.
Right,
She
right.
just did her show yesterday.
I know, girl. I saw your Instagram.
It's like Katy Perry, Roar, Teenage Dream, you know, how many hits has he written for her that aren't even in the show? So
Mhm.
she recognizes this is someone who has been important in her life, asking her for something important. And this is the first story that he's felt worthy of the material as well. And so I think there's a lot of generosity at the top
Mm,
and generous spirits,
Mm.
gratitude from the top that trickles,
mm,
which is something that again I felt in the room to
Mm.
know then, yes, these are people that will keep nurturing the heart, that will make me feel like I am in a creative environment, a safe environment, and a way that I want to spend ultimately my time, our time that we have no idea what's guaranteed on this earth.
Right, right.
your voice is bonkers on these songs. I mean, bonkers. Is there one that you're just like, I cannot wait to sing? I mean, your voice with Celine Dion's song is bonkers.
Oh, coming from you, Stephanie.
No, I am serious. Is there one song? I mean, not to be a fan, but this is a bit of a fan question. Through the course of the play, when you're like, oh, here it comes, I'm going to sing this, and they're going to go crazy, and it's going to fill my artistic guts.
So I think the expected answer would actually be the Celine Dion song, and I love that moment. Do not get
Yeah.
for that character in that moment. It is a rare moment that you get to see for a female on a stage. That is super super cool. But I have to say, like, oh, I will never forget when I heard Jessie J's Domino, and it became
Mm.
like an anthem for me for a summer. I used to listen to this song nonstop. So the fact that I get to sing this in the show, and it happens to be the first time that Anne kind of, you know, in a sense, takes off her Elizabethan clothing, really, and comes out as April and writes herself into the narrative and is like, fine, you don't want to do this. I'm writing myself into the story. Spoiler
Mhm.
alert. And she gets to sing the song. It's kind of it's the first time we really see her starting to kind of take a different kind of ownership.
Yes.
So there's something super satisfying just about singing that song. But you're right, it's hard to pick one because they all are genuinely, um yeah, it just changes. And then there's ones that I'm not even in that I just love listening to.
Do you
Okay.
feel like your musical sensibility is more toward pop or more toward musical theater?
I actually think I'm more of probably a legit musical theater kind of singer. I mean, and the idea that I get to say I've been in shows like The Mystery of Edwin Drood
Yeah, your range is
the
it's
last
just
5
bonkers.
years, and then getting to sing Sarah Bareilles songs and
Well,
Waitress. And
originally you wanted to be an opera singer, didn't you?
I wanted to be an opera singer, and then I've
Yeah.
been Met 2 times. I got to be a principal at the Met. Trust me. What I always say to young people is like, do not let someone label you as like a
Yeah.
soprano. So I'm like, there's no such thing actually, which I actually teach a lot. There really isn't. And I don't love it that, 13-year-olds and 15-year-olds think that there's something because their choir teacher told them there's something.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is living now, but eventually if you learn tools, you realize, oh, you can actually have an incredibly wide range. You just have to know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so it is not, yeah, it's not lost on me that I get to belt out these numbers, but I think that one of the reasons why I'm safely able to do it, and I'm able to do it over the course of the long time, is because I do have more of a just a sensible kind of training,
You have a foundation that keeps it
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into Broadway Evolved, which I really
Yes.
do want to hear about, I want to go back to your Instagram for 1 minute. And
Yes.
I want to talk about your ragtime audition on Instagram.
Okay, what started out of this funny little campaign, Get Betsy to Ragtime, which started, I knew it was all sold out. So I was like, well, and now I just have to be in it because that's the only way. And somewhere along the way, the Entertainment Community Fund was like, this is hilarious. And they said, will you go as kind of and take over for Playbill that day? And And I remember, I'm telling you, and if you watch these stories on Playbill, they will only be up for, I don't know, 20 more hours. And probably by the time this airs, they are long gone, but you can find them on my Instagram. If you watch them, you know, this all kind of started out as like this fun thing. But the reality is that when I was 15 years old, my family took my mom and dad, we lived in California, and you know it's very expensive to travel all the way to New York, and we knew we were only probably going to go one time before I did this thing that I thought I wanted to do with my life, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't even know Broadway was like a street. I just thought it was kind of like a thing, you know. And I had been listening to the Ragtime album for about a year, and it was the first time that I had listened to something in my room and identified so deeply with, and then a year later saw it on a stage. And it was like this profoundly transformative life experience that solidified me knowing that I wanted to tell stories in this way. I wanted this connection with an audience. I felt like I had somewhere deep down this talent that I knew I could do it.
Mm.
And so I saw this musical, and then I went, you know, back to California, went on to get my BFA. And then what I did not realize last night, I was a mess. I was weeping the entire time because I realized like, oh wow, 25 years later, like I'm actually doing the thing that
Mm-hmm.
I saw people doing.
Mm-hmm.
I had this moment of like profound gratitude that so many
Mm-hmm.
things in my life had lined up, that I had supportive parents, I had a supportive community, and that I had somewhere along the way developed this like grit and resilience and understanding to continue to walk through doors that were going to encourage my heart and walk out of ones that weren't. And the fact that like I get to do this every night is just insane. And so last night I it was like I was reliving what it was like as a 15-year-old, yet with the knowledge and weight and I guess wisdom of 25 years later, knowing the cost of it all too. And just I was like profoundly I just had so much gratitude last night. I will remember it the rest of my
Rest
life.
of your life. And you're
Mm.
doing that now for every time you take the stage, there's a 15-year-old in there who listened to the
Mhm.
cast recording and is now in the audience. And also for Circle, you have written yourself into the story. You are a lead player into that story. And that is such a moment where you go, holy crap, I, as a young person, made a decision. And we know those journeys look different, right? I mean, and every time we think we know how it's going to go or how we expect it to go, it will look different, but it will be what you need it to be. And when you sit in those moments, as that
Mm.
concert was for you last night, it's where your dreams meet the reality of the moment,
Mhm.
and you get the full body chills and you go, aha, that's right. This is my calling. Aha, I am making a difference. These people whose voices are still touching me in such a poignant way as they did 25 years ago. Our art form it's a living, breathing thing, but the legacy of it is powerful and very real.
I always call those moments the moments where God moves a curtain a little bit and you get a glimpse what's behind. And I've had a lot of those moments in my life, you know, where, and it's not always about sitting in a theater either. It's about, you know, there are moments in motherhood where I just stand stunned for a minute because it's like the curtain moves. Or when Steph and I, when we saw the gorillas in Rwanda, it's the same
Rwanda.
thing. It's like there are those moments and you see the curtain move and you know there's something so deep and so important in there. And when your life is aligned as it should be, you get those little glimpses. I actually had one of those moments when I was in Ragtime with LaChance, because I remember I was living in Boston and sort of dreaming about moving to New York. And I was doing this little show in Cambridge, and it was when Once on This Island was out, and I had the little cassette player. That's, you know, how long ago it was. I'm in my car with the cassette player, and I was listening to her voice on those tinny speakers, and I would drive in every night and go, who is this woman? Oh my God, so talented, incredible. And then you flash forward 10 years, and I'm in a rehearsal space with her, and one night I got sort of thrown on last minute for Mother. I had no costumes, no rehearsal, nothing. And I just got kind of shoved out there, and it was amazing. And there's that moment where Mother goes to the top of the stairs and LaChance was sitting in a rocking chair. And I just had this moment where like time stopped for a second and the curtain moved. And this voice inside me was like, that's the girl from the speakers. And you're singing the songs by the same composers. Like, this is one of those, you are on the right track. Like that feeling that just overwhelms you. And she kind of looked at me, she's like, you're okay. And I was like, I'm so good right now. And I just like turned around, went back to the stairs. But I love those moments, you know, there. And I think as performers, maybe they're more recognizable because we search for them as performers, as people who are sort of tuned to give. But I think it's, I think it's such a gift. I think it's amazing that that was your experience out there, that you got to feel that wash of like gratitude, and so great.
I did the ugliest cry on Playbill. It was like, no, I'm showing this. It was intermission. And I mean, I just was like, no, we have to talk about this. We have to actually get real and talk about this.
You are with Broadway Evolved, which you have co-founded. It was your brainchild. You've spearheaded so many of the programs. Much of the faculty have said yes because we worked with you. We love you. We respect you. Does that 15-year-old Betsy recognize herself in a lot of those students?
Oh, yes. I mean, I created that program I happened to have a very supportive community, very supportive parents. And it became abundantly clear to me, kind of obviously as I grew on in years, that everyone's experience, as a kid growing up wanting to do theater is so uniquely and profoundly different. And that we all come from very different backgrounds. And I just, as I've been working, I think you and we all know this. It takes a lot more than talent to sustain yourself, to even get anywhere in this business, but also to then sustain yourself and to move as a human throughout this job, this career path, all the things that it actually takes, which I think actually very little of it maybe actually be even based on talent.
I agree with you.
So in this new world, because a lot of people have talent. And so I thought, what if there was a program that actually addressed who you are as a person and your personal development and how you move about the world? What if at 15 you could learn what learning environments you thrive in? What if you could mental health? What if you could make that an equal partner to technical training? And to me, that is like those two things, when they grow in tandem, that to me is kind of that intersection of like personal success and actual like true growth. So, and I had the pleasure of teaching at a lot of different programs, and I think so many of them are so good for different things, but it was kind of that combo that I felt like was really missing. So our program's not like, come here and you're going to be a Broadway star, but you come and you learn something so so deep about yourselves. We've had students who have come and literally by the end of the week they say, I don't actually want to do this. My parents want me to do this, and I'm going to tell them this week, like, I don't want to do this anymore. And yet I really want to be a casting director. I hate singing in front of people. She was very good at it actually, but she hated it. And she said, I really identified with what this casting director person was saying. And now she is in her third year at being, at working for a major casting office. And her parents, like, we get these letters from parents saying, our child is not the same. They're brave. They move about the space. And then as a mom now, I look at that and go, that is what is the most important thing. And this program has grown beyond. And I first started it because I had lost out on a really big professional opportunity, and I felt like I had done everything up until that point. I had something, and then it was really abruptly taken away from me for just like this crazy, crazy swirl of events. And I felt so helpless. And I felt like I was letting one person kind of determine my future. And I thought there has to be something that I can, my talent, and a way that I could use my skills and everything that I've learned to change the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how the whole thing came about. But it has grown. It has grown beyond me. We now have students from different countries. We have 93% of our students in our last program came on scholarships. We have a foundation that supports us. It's like it is so much bigger than I could have ever dreamed it to be, and it's so special.
How old is it, and how do you find and choose these kids?
Yes, so the program started in 2018. We are in our fifth, sixth summer. Oh my gosh, I can't even count anymore. That's crazy.
Again, language and numbers are hard.
Language and numbers are hard. We started the program with one group in the summer, and then the next year we grew to two. And the whole point was, though, that the class size has to be kept small. This is an intimate cohort of students. We have a winter fall program where we are able to give about 93% of all of the funds scholarships. So kids who our goal and hope is that we find students who are not only incredibly talented, but who would never have an opportunity like this, and get them involved and hopefully introduce them to people that can like really change the trajectory of their lives from an earlier standpoint. And it's just, it's so special. I see kids now that have gone through the program that have been on Broadway. I see kids that are now, working for casting directors, and I have parents who still continually now update us and say our kids, third year in college and still credits this program to really letting them know who they were. So it is so beyond me. And I think also it's a testament to who we ask to come and the faculty. And, I don't ask people that I don't really think wouldn't share their hearts with the students. I think a lot of people think like, oh, there's a lot of like famous Broadway people that come to this. And I think that the sparkle's there for the first moment that they see you. But the whole point is that, they get to see themselves in the faculty, realize these are just humans, and how special that is, that if they can absorb that and absorb the humanity of the Stephanie J. Block and the Andrew Rannells and these superstars that they like look up to so much, but if they can see themselves and who they really are, that is like, it's a transformative 4 days.
Is it video submission that the kids will send in, or how is the selection process?
Yeah, so what's crazy is we just launched yesterday a TikTok competition, because where are kids these days? They're on TikTok.
Yeah.
So, and also, how do I find kids? When we do these programs, sometimes it's the three, fancy kids that are always being seen, in their theater teacher recommends, but how can I find the kid that's in their bedroom who wants to do this, who has no idea how to even remotely approach it?
Yeah.
So, for TikTok, it's a 30-second video, and then once we notify you, and you do have to apply, we'll waive any kind of I think it's like $15 application fee, but we waive that. And but ultimately, the crux of the program is it's a video submission. We ask for an introduction so we can really kind of get to know you and what we want to see. Like I always say, like, let me see your heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
And then they write a personal statement, and then we do ask about if they want a scholarship. We ask about kind of just to talk about their financial situation. And again, the stories that just the statements that we read are, it never ceases to amaze me how much people are dealing with all sorts of things at all different times. And it's incredible then to watch these students who I know a little bit of background about them, and then I see them and I'm just like, God, I would love to just share their light for 4 days. And it's so special when they actually then do come to the program.
That idea that you had given of how the performers are somehow other, you know? I remember thinking that so specifically as a kid, watching the Tonys and thinking, well, that's them. They're
Mhm.
other. And I'll never be there. I'll never be there. And I tell my son all the time, babe, they're not other. they're just in a different place than you. And your access to them is so doable as long as you decide that's what you want access to. It's completely doable. And he doesn't want to be an actor. He wants to be a boxer. But I say to him, those guys that you're looking up to, you are just, one person away from somewhere down the line. And it's not other. It's a world that you choose to then enter. And I think it's great that you give them that feeling at such a young age that it is doable. I am not different than them or lower than them or less than them. I get to be one of them if I choose and decide to put in the work.
Yeah.
A
And
great lesson.
so demystify it a little bit. Like
Mhm.
I know this though. Like I know, Stephanie, you don't walk through the world thinking like I am this person, I am better. Like we all just kind of like we don't even know. Like I'm sitting here going, yeah, I'm in the room with legends, but I know you don't think of yourself like you're not like that's not how you talk
Oh,
about.
heavens. No.
Right.
So, but I think that there is this sense that when these kids come, I think there is this idea, idolization, right? About like someone who's doing it. And if I can just get to that level. And so there is something about like throwing people like yourself that are just so like revered at them and saying like, let's demystify this, let's break this down. At the end of the day, what actually makes Stephanie so amazing? And it is her talent, but it is also this work ethic. It's a heart. It's what makes her heart beat. And so like to give that perspective to a kid
Mhm.
is so I think a real gift to them earlier on, so they know that you know it humanizes everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful.
N-
Congratulations. Sounds like an amazing program.
It's
It's
an amazing
exhausting,
program.
it is amazing, it is everything, but it is like it means so much to me.
You're
Mm.
changing lives. Now, I know this may seem like silly but I got to talk to you about design because honestly, I got to sit through and witness like your
Oh my
choice
gosh.
of tile and lighting fixtures and pull or handles when you were doing and my jaw just kept dropping, going, this is a whole different side of Betsy
Mhm.
that is still artistic, but it's an aesthetic that was so impressive. Where did that come from?
My mom is an artist. My sister loved to design costume designs when she was younger. They both can draw. They both have beautiful, like my mom does like beautiful, beautiful illustrations. They're all so talented in that way. I have absolutely none of that, but I love beautiful things. I love antiques. My Nana, who was actually someone who, kind of introduced me to theater, she always had these really fun antiques around. And so I just love like old things. Like I'm sitting here in my dressing room. I know everyone can't see it, but like it's a mix of some really fun new things, but then a lot of just like meaningful vintage pieces. I love to embrace, what's the history of what has been, than with kind of new. That's I don't know where it came from. I always say in my next life, maybe I'll be like an interior designer. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah, you will. I want to live in your dressing room. Y'all, she's got like these delicate cross-stitch Victorian pillows, but then she has a leopard blanket. And then she has this stand-up lamp that looks like it's got showgirl feathers coming from it. And this gorgeous rug, this little tea table, these striped, decadent dressing room curtains. Trust me, you want to be in her room right
I'm never gonna want to
now.
leave this dressing room, Stephanie.
No, no, I hope the show runs forever. Okay.
You see how you have that leopard print pillow with the floral dark?
This is my coat.
It's
Oh, it's your
freaking
coat.
Oh, it's a coat.
Okay, okay. Because I was like, who would put like so? There's
But
like
she
tiger
does.
stripe, yeah,
Look at there.
tiger
She
stripe
does.
pillows, and then vertically striped curtains with
Um,
the flower wallpaper. How do you know that's gonna work? Because that's
like
the part about designing that freaks me out, and I
I
just
had a
can't do
little bit
it.
of help. The person who did my apartment helped me a little bit. And yeah, so I actually had some help. I had
Yeah,
guidance.
but you can't pretend you don't have opinions. I know you.
Oh, I have so many opinions.
Yes.
In fact, I'm sure she was probably like, God, I don't really want to work with you because you don't let me design. But yeah, but it was fun. We found this on Facebook Marketplace. This was like $70. It's like
Oh, you know that was in a brothel somewhere. You know it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And-
First question. Is there anything that you secretly hoard or collect?
I mean, old things. I love vintage old things. I mean, I'll show you. I'll travel with you. You can see this lamp I just bought in Aspen at a vintage store.
Ooh, she's real pretty.
Pretty. I know. I like old things and like.
What is it about old things? Do they feel like they have a presence with them or a weight to them?
Ring. I mean, if you can see my ring, it's all my wedding ring, my engagement ring. I picked out. It's about 70 different stones from unwanted jewelry pieces. Either pieces where someone's passed on, a dissolved marriage, and this person, it's called a cobble ring, and he cobbles them together. And the whole idea is that you can make something beautiful with things that are unwanted. And so I don't know what it is about old like old trinkets that just moves me. I always, I don't know. I just like to think like everything is beautiful and should be, can be treasured in some way.
That's so
It's
lovely.
still valued. That's right. I'm going to bring that
Valued.
damn word back again.
Bringing it back.
Bets, if we were to call your family and say that you'd been arrested, what would they have assumed you've done to land yourself in jail?
Oh, I'm obsessed with cop shows, FBI shows. I loved watching cops when I was younger. Anything to catch a predator. I loved that. It's so weird.
But what's the crime? What's the crime that you committed that got yourself in jail?
I tried to go to a crime scene and solve the mystery myself. I probably
We crossed the tape, people, and it's trying to
like, let me figure this out.
Stealing evidence.
No, seriously, probably. Murder, She Wrote. I don't know. I love to think I could solve a crime, but I probably cannot.
Have you
I'd
ever
like
listened to Killer Psyche?
No.
Oh,
What's
I'm
Killer
obsessed.
Psyche? Is this a podcast or a
Yes,
series?
it's a podcast called Killer Psyche, and it's the woman. She's one of the first FBI profilers who is female. So she was a psychiatric nurse, and she was the only nurse that would go in the room with all the crazy like people who had done like murders and things. And the other nurse was like, "I'm not going in there." And she was like, "I want to go in. I want to know why." And she gave a speech one day, and someone came up to her after and they said, "You need to come be in the FBI. You would be good at this." And she's like, "No, I don't want to do that. I'm a nurse. No." And she said, "But then I went home and I couldn't sleep the whole night. Couldn't stop thinking about it." She goes, "So I called my dad and I said to my dad, Dad, I got this offer to be in the FBI. I don't know. What do you think?" And he goes, "Take it. Take it. I'm going to tell you something I've never told anybody ever." She said, "What?" And he said, "When I was a young man, I worked for the FBI. I was a spy for Elliot Ness."
What?
And he had never told anyone. And he said, "If you have the chance to be in the FBI, go do it." And so she did it. She was, I think maybe 2 females made it through out of like 10 or something. And she became one of the leading FBI profilers. She's amazing.
Okay, but then this
Amazing.
is where I go, okay, she didn't know her father was in the FBI, but there
Right.
was something about her. There was a
Right.
gestation that excited her to be in the room with the people and want to know the things. So generationally, I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
that's
a
the
word.
genetics. It's the
Yes,
genetics
there's
that
got
get
to be
passed.
something
Yeah,
there,
for
right?
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it's proven true.
Killer Psyche. I'm going to check it out.
So good.
Okay.
I mean, she can tell you about the person like by looking in the front seat of his car. She'll tell you like how old he is and what he's wearing. And I'm like, "Oh my God, she's amazing." Anyway, I got way off track.
Question number 3.
Okay, sorry. Is that my turn? Okay.
Yep.
Question number 3. If your life or a book, what is this chapter titled?
Oh, these are
This is a thing.
You know what? No filter. That's what it's going to be.
No filter.
I love it. Oh, that's
me
You
too.
know, I love a nice carrot swipe to the right on Instagram,
All right. Are you a thin crust, regular crust, deep dish pizza, and what's on your pie?
If I'm eating gluten-free that day, it'll be a
Mhm.
gluten-free crust. But if it's on the day that I decide to just say screw it, it's going to be a thick crust.
Mhm.
I want everything on that pizza. I
Oh
want
yeah.
pepperoni, I want spicy sausage, I want green peppers, I want onions. I'm in the more the lots of red sauce, the more the merrier kind of person.
Great.
Mhm. Okay,
I'm
last
sharing that
question.
pizza with you.
Last question. If you were a nail polish color, what color would you be, and what would your cheeky little name be?
You know the cheeky nail polish names?
She hates
I
us.
know, I know this is really hard. This is harder than anything I've ever done today. You really make me think. My daughter's favorite color right now is purple, so I'm gonna go with like some purple.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna say like either put I don't know, pushy purple feels
Oh,
good.
I like it. I
I
like
like
it.
it.
I
Neat
like it.
purple,
Bushy
something like
purple.
that. Some like pokey. I'm in a real like I'm poking a lot in life right now. I'm just like I don't know. I get to poke a lot with this character, and so
Mhm.
I think it would have to do with just what's on the other side. Okay, that looks great. What else? What else? What's real?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. We love it. We're
Pokey
so
purple.
grateful. Pokey purple. Pokey purple.
Take
Bye.
care. Oh, wasn't she
Betsy
lovely?
Wolfe. Oh my gosh. Anybody who
Cannot
shows up
wait
with
to.
sequins and a smile on a Tuesday afternoon. Well, yeah,
I can't wait to go and see that show. It's on my list. It's on my
she
list.
really, and that's the thing. Like what I said in her bio is really true. She's a multifaceted woman. And like I said, she appears in the sequence, but she's so silly and ridiculous and also smart. And I have found that to be the case that a lot of those that are the most ridiculous and make me laugh the hardest are really a lot of the most intellectual and smartest people I have ever met.
Oh yeah,
So,
you have to be
yeah,
bright to have a quick sense of humor for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Witty does not, decorate the dumb.
Mm-mm.
So I'm grateful for her time. And I really do look forward to seeing how we've seen how audiences respond to the show. We've even seen how critics respond to the show. So it'll be interesting to see how May and June
Unfold.
recognize and
Hmm.
unfold.
Hmm.
Exactly so. Exactly
Fun,
so.
fun,
To
fun.
mention about the antiques, because I find it interesting. I enjoy older things as well. The older I get, I'm also finding that I enjoy the older things as well. Antiques, because it there is something where there's a story there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a craftsmanship there.
Mm-hmm.
They are tried and true. It's like regardless of what, fashion trend comes in, these pieces have they're kind of like a staple that it doesn't matter. It's going to look good in your home because it's 100 years old. So I agree with her on that account that, if you can find whatever it is, a lamp, a throw, a table that has lived many lives and been loved by many people and not discarded, but actually honored, there's something
Well, I
special
love that she
there.
cobbles together her rings and her jewelry out of discarded pieces. I love that. I love that thought.
You would sage the crap out of it though.
Well,
You'd have
I
to
was
be
just
like,
gonna say that. I was just gonna say, stuff absorbs energy.
energy.
So if you're cobbling together a ring out of someone, like she said, discarded wedding
Mhm.
jewelry,
Mhm.
like, oh, you gotta really clean that stuff out. Like
Mhm.
it needs to go out in the moonlight. You gotta sage it because that it carries it. It carries it. Like when you walk into someone's house, you can feel if a house is heavy or if a house is light, can't
I
you?
agree with you.
Yeah, you can
Yeah, I
feel
agree
like
with
if
you.
you want to stay and put your feet up and have a warm cup of tea and you feel comfortable and settled there, or
Yeah.
if you walk in and you're like, oof, I think I'll just use the
Yep.
bathroom and head outside. You know what I mean?
And head
You
on
can
out.
totally
Yeah.
feel it. So every object absorbs that stuff. Even when I bring things back, like from Africa, if I find something cool, I sage everything all the time because I don't know. Even when people come stay in my house, I sage my whole house
Sure.
because they
Sure.
leave stuff behind.
Yeah.
But
And you are speaking from experience because your house is how old?
Oh my God. This house was built.
1700s?
Yeah. And well, an architect told me he thinks parts of it might have been in the late 1600s. 'Cause he
Wow.
found evidence in the basement of a single chimney that must have come up in the middle, but now it has 4 chimneys. So we have 8 fireplaces. So every room has a fireplace. So there's 2 chimneys. It's a very, very old house. We have the murals on the wall that were painted by Rufus Porter, who actually was apparently a very uh, not nice man, but a
Oh,
genius. He invented the dirigible. He founded Scientific American magazine. He
wow.
invented the Colt revolver. He was like this genius, and he was an artist, and he painted murals all over our walls that have been there since 1825, I think. And we do nothing to them. And the paint is made from like glue and natural, plants and things. It's pretty incredible.
It
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah.
But he wasn't well liked, huh?
No, I think he traveled up and down the Connecticut River and painted little houses, little murals on the wealthier homes and stuff. But apparently he wasn't a nice man. I don't know.
Oh,
What do I
bet
know?
you. I bet you Betsy would love your home.
Oh, she probably would. Yeah, she would love it.
Mm.
Up in our attic. So the house we believe was on the Underground Railroad.
Mm.
And one of the signs of a home on the Underground Railroad is the chimneys are painted white
White.
with a black strip around the top.
Right.
And that was how they would the runaway slaves would be able to find the homes that would help them. Anyway, up in our attic we have little rooms, and there's some evidence of, that perhaps it was on the Underground Railroad. But one day we had someone put in lights up in the attic because it had never had lights. And he came down to the kitchen. And he was like, "Are you messing with me?" And I was like, well, what's happening in the attic? And he said, "There are chicken feet hanging from the ceiling in your attic. Did you put those there?" And I'm like, no. So we go up and there's like voodoo above where the door comes down in the attic that they put to protect themselves, to ward off anything negative. And we've never touched it. I would never touch it. But
Nope.
no.
That's
no.
essentially an altar from the past. So yes,
Totally.
you
And
should
it
not.
was for protection. And this house doesn't feel
No,
ever
your house has
feel-
great energy.
It has really good mojo. It
Yes,
has really good mojo.
yes.
Yeah. I remember when we first moved in, the windows, there were all these old um what are the winter windows that they put on the outside? There's a name for them.
The double pane or the shutters?
Yeah, no,
No?
they're not shutters. They're like winter windows that go on the
Okay.
outside of homes. Anyway, they were on there for so long and they were broken and they were in terrible shape. And I remember when I first came, we had the whole house scraped and painted and took those off the windows. And I remember standing in the lawn and almost feeling like I saw the house go,
It took a breath.
yeah. I remember looking at it going, "Oh, that house just took like a big happy breath to rid itself of this thing that had been like hanging on its windows."
Yeah.
I will miss many, many things about the house, because we do think we'll probably move soon. But I also will be really happy to be in a more modern home too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we were really good stewards of this house for a long time, but I
The
would like-
upkeep and care it's
Oh,
very
my
real.
God.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nonstop.
And
Yeah.
to have a real closet, like a walk-in closet, what a
You
dream!
deserve a walk-in closet,
I would
Mary Lou.
trade it all.
Hey, so I want to ask you a question.
Yes,
With
ma'am.
all the pop, stars and pop music out there, who's the pop artist that you love to sing along to and that you feel your voice really sort of
God, no, honestly, I
enriches?
can't even answer it because I don't.
Come on.
I really don't. I don't. The only music other than musical theater I listen to is like the old stuff, like the Luther Vandross and the Prince and all that old stuff that I loved in the 80s.
Yeah.
But I love Adele. I love Adele.
There you go.
That's
There you
true. I
go.
do love Adele. And I actually love Sarah Bareilles too. Love her.
I mean, honestly, she is one of the most beloved humans, musicians, poets. Like she's just,
Yeah.
she is
she's
worthy
pretty
of the
awesome.
love. Yeah.
But I don't
think I would
listen to
do-
that many. Yeah,
I
who
would
are
do
you?
Celine or Pink. I
Oh,
think I would
Pink,
feel a
yeah.
bit of a poser if I were to try to sing Pink, but I love the power of her message. I love the power of her voice. I love how real she is. Um,
Believe it
I
or
would,
not, I just
yeah.
downloaded a Pink song.
Oh, you're
Um,
kidding.
yeah, it's so weird that you just said that because I never like, you know, I don't listen to anything like
You need to listen to her. And she's
uh,
going on tour. I think I'm going to see her
trying to
this
remember this.
August.
Trust Fall.
Oh,
I heard her sing it somewhere and I was like, "Oh, that's a great song." So,
you need
it's
to
the
listen to
first
her
Pink
whole
song.
canon.
I
It's
will.
pretty stellar. And it just kind of pumps you up and makes you feel like, F yeah, I can do it. Speaking of Anne Juliet's sort of theme and that value of women and women empowerment, she definitely embodies that.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. I just saw a thing like she's like cool mom, like she lets her
Oh,
kids be exactly who they are, and she's really cool.
yeah, well, yeah. Also, watch her documentary if you haven't seen
No, I
Pink's
haven't.
documentary. Yeah.
Oh, I will.
All right. We're
All
going to do
right,
a link to
sister.
that. Okay. All right, sister. I love you.
We're gonna wrap it up. I love you. Stages podcast is produced by Mary Lee Fairbanks and Stephanie J. Block. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Join us on social media pages or sign up for the mailing list at stagespodcast.net. That is also where you will find Stages swag. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share and rate and review the show. It really helps us grow. Big thank you to Noah Kaiserman and Garrett Healy for the original music, and Allison Arns, who has been with us since day one. See you soon.